We are back, ladies and gentlemen, tailgaters. Town Tailgate is not stopping. California may be on a COVID lockdown, but that does not stop me and Julio from podcasting and talking baseball. Isn't that right?
Damn right.
So this week we talk a little bit of free agency move. Not too much, a little bit quiet on the Western Front for baseball, but we got some big moves. One of them is heading to Georgia. Then some trade rumors going around with the Cubs. Theo Epstein, a strange little career move for him, and of course the Hall of Fame ballot for this season. Do we think any of these guys are going to get in there? I guess you have to find out. And then what's up, Julio?
And finally, we have our first verified guest on the show. That's right, Jessica Kleinschmidt. You may know her from NBC Sports Bay Area, as well as her multiple podcast series at Bach Talk and Corked Up. She's going to be joining us to talk about how the 2020 season was different as covering for the A's compared to previous years. And plus, we're going to have a little Thanksgiving edition of I've had a few beers to kind of see what potential free agents will look good in Oakland, or what wacky trades we would really think about.
The hot takes are coming. So let's start talking ball. Well, tailgaters and A's fans, California is on lockdown again because coronavirus is way up again, but it's just kind of how we live in this world. So Julio and I are wearing masks the entire show, even though we're in separate places. But this is how it's gonna be. And we're not gonna wear these masks the entire time. I'm just kidding. I just wanted to show off my festive mask that my parents bought me for.
Is that like
Christmas.
a reindeer?
Yeah,
Ranger?
bro. It's
Oh shit, that's pretty tight.
It's just reindeers hanging out with Christmas sweaters on. They wanted us to take because we can't do. I'm gonna take this off now.
Yeah, go for it. I got the for those who listen to the podcast, I got like the OG Universal Studios Hollywood sign.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
very
pretty
jealous.
killer. Big fan.
They bought us. My parents bought me and my brother and sister these festive masks because since we can't all be in the same place for a Christmas photo this year, they wanted us to all take individual photos with the masks on, and then they're gonna put together. But then they scrapped that idea. But I figured. It's festive, so I'm going to wear it all month. Just like I wore my mustache all November, and it's going to be going off tomorrow.
Can't wait.
Dude, what are you talking about? How on a scale of 1 to 10, how porn starry do I look?
Ron Jeremy getting convicted for prison level.
Again, this is a scale of 1 to 10, not a phrase, but,
That's like a 20.
Okay. Good thing it's going tomorrow.
All right. Anyways, welcome. We're back. It's been a couple weeks.
You think that's going to scare our guests later? Probably.
I'll see.
Welcome back to the Town Tailgate Podcast. That was Julio Reynoso. I'm Kris Madrigal.
Reynoso. God damn, what is going?
I fumbled on 2 words, bro. Chill
Reynoso.
MLB offseason's going on, Julio, but other than that, baseball is at much of a standstill, only a few moves. So what have you been trying to do with your free time?
You can't really tell because I'm in our office and when he was in I's apartment, but I went balls deep Christmas decorations. Love Christmas. Christmas is awesome. There's a couple things. There's like an OG like Homer Simpson as Santa Claus thing back there.
Oh, that's what that is.
Yeah, a little. He talks and stuff too. I've had it for years.
Nice.
But doing that, watching a lot of football because that's all we got right now.
Foosball. College basketball just came back, so you could watch that.
Yeah. Also, I've been watching The Queen's Gambit on Netflix.
I've been hearing a shit ton of good things about that show. How is it?
It's great. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's Anya Taylor-Joy. right? It sucks. The only thing I remember seeing her in is the New Mutants, and the New Mutants was
No, but she's also in that movie Glass and the movie.
I didn't see Glass
Neither did I. I don't. Those movies looked awful.
because I heard it was ass.
Yeah. And then the James McAvoy standalone one before that. And then she was in some like horror movie. I forgot what it's called.
She's in a bunch of stuff. I think
Witches
that's
or
the
something
first
like that.
time I've seen her.
Yeah. She's
That's really good.
And she Thoroughbreds. That was a really good movie that she was in. She's a good actress.
Oh shit. But also just video games.
Video games right now.
Speaking of video games, you showed me something pretty awesome. I don't know if you have it on hand with you right now to show it off.
I don't. It's over by my Wii device.
So you already spoiled a little bit, but you got your Wii.
But it's not for Wii though. It's actually technically a GameCube game. But GameCube, you can play, or Wii, you can play GameCube games on. Yeah. So I recently moved into my new apartment, and I'm trying to think of like, especially during like COVID lockdown, like ways to entertain myself and guests potentially come over, friends who want to hang out. Since we can't go to the bars and whatnot, which we probably shouldn't anyway. So my parents brought down my Wii, Nintendo Wii for the listeners, not weed, not marijuana, Nintendo Wii. So I could play like Wii Sports and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, you know what? Like, it'd be fun, like playing the old GameCube games because that's the game system that I kind of grew up with. So I got on Amazon for $4, the greatest sports video game of all time, in my opinion. MVP Baseball 2005. Manny Ramirez in the cover. That game, dude, owner mode in that game is the most fun, just franchise like game mode that you can fucking play in any sports game. Like, forget Madden franchise or fantasy mode. Forget fucking, I don't know. I mean, whatever the fuck they do. That is so much fun, especially, I mean, it's yeah. That game got me into fantasy sports, basically.
As like the resident video gamer here, when you said like best sports game, I was thinking right now, I'm like, fuck, you're probably right. It's at least top 5 because it'd be like,
I mean, there's depending on what your preference is for sports, I think that also definitely like takes into effect. Like NCAA 2006 was hella good. Madden 2004 was really good.
Yep, I was gonna say Madden 04 is like the go-to. And like the OGs, the like NBA Jam, Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah.
Of
NFL
course, you can't forget about NFL Street, NBA Street. You can't forget about like Super Mario Sluggers, Super Mario Strikers.
Dude, yes.
Super Mario
Strikers, yes. That's the game I need to get next, Julio. I'm writing that down.
Write it down. Write that shit down. Dude, no, you gotta get Sluggers too. Sluggers rules.
I don't think I ever played Sluggers.
Sluggers is pretty. Dude, you know what's the game that's actually hella hard to find now? And if you can find it for a decent price for a GameCube, is Mario Kart Double Dash.
Yes. So I looked up Double Dash on Amazon because that was the second game that I thought of because that's hands down, in my opinion, the best Mario Kart. It's like, dude, it's like $60. Like they charge the ass for it. It's a fucking, yeah. I'm going to check out that video game store that you told me about in Burbank and see if maybe they have it for on the cheap or some shit.
If you're in LA and you're looking for a game, the place called Game Dude in North Hollywood, Burbank area, but great stuff. God, what was I going to say though? Double Dash.
Follow them on Instagram because they update you and let you know which games just recently came in.
Double Dash though, that was, for me, that was the best one until this. Well, it's not new anymore, but like Mario Kart 8 is nuts. That game is so much fun.
I did play that at my buddy Sean's house the other day. It is really good.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a conversation for the eventual spin-off video game podcast.
Yeah, if you ever actually do it. For listeners, I've been trying to push Julio to do a video game podcast.
I just don't know.
To launch on our podcast network. But
do you want to buy the new games for me to talk about?
No, why would I buy them? You could talk. You don't have to talk about only new games. You don't have to talk about that. We can go into this later.
Okay.
Me and Xavier Gomez are launching another podcast pretty soon, so keep a lookout for that on this network. But other than that, I watched the John Belushi documentary last night on Showtime. Fantastic. There's so many things about him that I didn't know, and like so many clips because I like SNL, but I've never really watched the old SNLs. So if you're looking for a good documentary, check that out.
You kind of forget like how raunchy the old SNLs actually are. Like some of the humor that they're saying on there, it's like
dude.
there's a reason they were like the not ready for primetime players. We talked on the phone like this or about it last night, but we both finally came around to watching Trial of the Chicago 7 too.
Mm.
That was if you haven't seen it yet, definitely watch it. It's really good. Kris brought up a really good point that it's very much like
It's liberal propaganda.
It's feeding liberals like, yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Damn police, they took off their badges, which is probably true.
But it's a great movie. I loved it. I mean, I'm a liberal, so obviously I like it, but it is like like it's like watching Fox News, like it's liberal propaganda basically. But
now when we do our eventual spin-off movie podcast, we'll do that too. Last thing before you head in. If you had to pick one of the actors to be nominated for an Oscar, which actor would it be?
From that movie specifically?
Yeah.
Mark Rylance. Mark Rylance,
okay.
Easily.
Yep, cool.
Yeah, he killed
Mark
it,
Rylance killed it
as the role of, I forgot the name of the
lawyer.
The lawyer, but he was a known liberal rights lawyer back in the 60s and 70s. He defended multiple like civil rights like people and hippies and stuff like that. He's pretty famous. Yeah, look him up. He's really good. He pretty much he like owns the entire movie in my opinion, because the role
easily.
The main character is kind of Reddy Edme, who plays oh fuck, I forgot his name again. Tom something, but he's like pretty underwhelming. So yeah. All right, let's hop into some baseball talk because
that's why we're here
to this podcast to listen to video games and movies. All right, so some free agency news, not much. There's only been one real big deal, which Charlie Morton just signed with the Braves. I forgot who tweeted this the other day. I think it was MLB app or MLB account. Best rotation in baseball ? And I retweeted yes. And it's like, for me, it's not even close. I mean, I try to think about other ones. Like, I guess you could argue the Mets, but like they're never healthy, so it's like really hard to put them in that conversation. I don't know. The Dodgers? Yeah, the Dodgers.
Dude, okay.
But the Dodgers are young, man. The Dodgers are young.
And yeah, but guess who they're going to be getting this offseason? David Price.
Yeah. So then it's David Price, Clayton Kershaw,
Walker Buehler,
Dustin May, and Urias.
Tony Gonsolin, Julio Urias. Like those are your that's six. But and like you saw what Julio Urias did during the playoffs.
Yeah,
their like that. I still think that's the one to beat. But
it's hard to judge Urias and Dustin May in a 60-game season. Two young guys who pretty much are showcasing for the first time in this season. I mean, Dustin May was a rookie, but Urias wasn't. He was a bullpen guy last year.
I mean, you can say the same thing about like Mike Soroka before he got hurt.
Mike Soroka. Mike Soroka, but no, Mike Soroka pitched last year and he was really good last year. Tim Anderson.
Or Ian Anderson.
Ian Anderson. But I don't know.
It's up there.
He showed his stuff. Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Yeah, I'll say so. Charlie Morton, honestly, I knew it wasn't going to happen. He was somebody I would kind of hope they would find a way to get in there, but he's pretty much like the hired gun. That's what he's been these last few years. He revitalized he revitalized his career in Houston, and then he went to Tampa, became a Cy Young contender last year. I don't think he finished top 3 this year, but to help him go to the World Series, you know what you're going to get out of him. And for a Braves team that is super young, was 1 game away from the World Series. Now that you're going to have that dog who it doesn't matter what time of the day, where they're going to be playing, you're going to have somebody who you can plug in and pitch a pivotal playoff game without having to deal with that pressure. But and that's something they definitely needed last year.
Julio, he's not starting game 1 in a series. I mean, he's definitely the dog, but he's not going to start. I mean, Max Fried gets the ball first easily for me. And then maybe Mike Soroka, and then I would go Charlie Morton. But you do want that veteran who's been there, who's won a World Series, who's competed on World Series appearance teams, the experienced vet who can handle a big moment. You do kind of want that guy in your game 3 and game 7 game. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. He's fucking old, man. 37 years old. Wow. That's just something I want to be known. Good Chuck.
Honestly, and who knows? Like we've seen dudes like because he's mostly like a two-seam fastball thrower, if I remember right, like a two-seam changeup guy.
Yeah.
If he like kind of doesn't, if he can avoid a major injuries, if he stays in good shape, because of those two being his main pitches, I could see him pitch into like early 40s, pull a Cologne without the steroids, but
yeah, maybe
get a home run at Petco.
Let's move on to the other moves. Malik Smith went to the Mets. Drew Smiley went also to the Braves, so another pitcher. And our last but not least, Mike Minor, former Oakland great, has made his way on to leaving the A's and on to the Royals. And with that being said, we want to bring in a new segment. I'll let Julio introduce a new segment.
Welcome to the former Oakland Great Players Association. We have inducted our newest member to the former Oakland Great Association. Michael David Minor, 2020 to 2020. Stats: he went 1-1 in 5 games pitched with a 5.48 ERA with a whopping 27 strikeouts in 21.1 innings. Mike Minor, welcome to the former Oakland Great Association. Your coupon for nations will be delivered by mail.
There you go.
But not really.
And Jerry's hot dogs. Or
Yeah,
not Jerry's,
but Jerry's. Oh God, why you say that?
Hot dogs. Casper.
But we'll talk. We knew this was going to be a rental.
Yeah.
We talked about it a few months ago when they first made the trade for him. He was pretty much going to be more or less an upgrade from Daniel Mangden, and it was kind of a wash. Unfortunately, he had some bright spots, but as soon as like he came in that first series against the Astros and he pitched, was that game 1 or game 2, and he just got blown up. You're like, oh shit, maybe this wasn't the move, but this could be a good move for him. Going back to Kansas City, he revitalized his career there as a reliever back like in 2016, 2017. Who knows? Maybe he'll do it again. The Royals have kind of a fun team. They got a lot of young guys there with like Alberto Mondesi and like Whit Merrifield. So good for him. Good for him. Get one more contract.
They play in a shit division, but that shit division has some heavy hitters at the top, so I don't see them competing anytime soon. But hey, I mean, you got to go try and get your money, and this is kind of like a prove-em deal, I feel like. So it is what it is. You just came off of not this year, but last year, a Cy Young candidate season, so there's definitely something still there. There's only 1 year away. All right, so we had some trade rumors around the MLB, mainly just one. Kris Bryant has been being talked about being moved. Apparently, the Chicago Cubs are shopping him. And the Nats are at the forefront of those talks. I would love him on the Nats, personally. Love.
To have him take over that Rendon spot, more or less.
And he's not going to replace Rendon's stats, but he's going to be an improvement for, I don't even know who played there last season. So, I mean, start with that.
Oh, God, who was their third? I know it wasn't Howie.
The reality of the situation is like there was a good evolution. Like Rendon was their best player. He moves. Cool. Soto just started to kind of like show his stuff and really came into his own in that World Series run. Soto's their best player. They need some guys around him to help rally that. Trey Turner's amazing. Great, like number 2 guy. Where do you go from there? Off the top of my head, I'm totally blanking on who else is on their team.
That's pretty much it. It was pretty much offensively last year. That was pretty much them. Victor Robles hasn't really lived up to the hype. When I was thinking of third base, Carter Kieboom was supposed to be like the next prospect. He's supposed to be the next guy. And this year he didn't really pan out, but that's not really on him because if he didn't pan out this year, I don't think it's the end of the world because it was so weird. But
yeah,
looking at this
Oh, Adam
team.
Eaton, Adam Eaton's a solid player. Jan Gomes. I mean, there's some, and Kurt Suzuki. There's some talent, but yeah, they definitely need a guy, a solid number two to help out there. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, Starlin Castro too. I don't know. I feel like Starlin Castro kind of fell off ever since he left the Cubs. Maybe that's because the Yankees didn't really do much those 2 years.
No, I think he had an all-star year at the Yankees.
He did, but weren't they not very good?
2017. That was when they went to the LCS.
Sure about that? Interesting.
Yeah, because that was the was it ALCS?
Asdrubal Cabrera totally fell off.
Astrobal.
Yeah,
so
they could use some help. Yeah, Kris Bryant would be huge for them.
Yeah, and you'd have to wonder, did you think because of, let's be real, Kris Bryant was pretty terrible this year. Do you think the asking price will be as high as it would have been? Obviously not what it would have been 2 years ago, but do you think somebody's going to pay up still?
No. I mean, he's had three three underwhelming seasons. Like, now is definitely the time if you're gonna pick him up to go for him 100%.
Now, do you wonder? Like, I'm just wondering a hypothetical package. I would think you'd probably have to throw in Carter Kieboom out there. So his full stats from last year.
You don't want him on the roster anyway. You don't want to create controversy at third base.
Yeah, last year was easily his worst season of his career. Of a 62 game schedule, he only played 34. He hit 206, 4 home runs, 11 RBIs. Last year was bad. But 2019, he was actually an all-star. 2018, he still had a good year. So he's never not had a terrible year, excluding this year. This is the only first time he's had it. So,
and he only had 60 games this season to prove that as well. So it's got
exactly. It's just we're going to talk about the Cubs a little more in a minute, but holy shit, what happened? Like, I thought for sure after 2016, like, damn, they're so young. They got all these guys. Like, they're going to be a dynasty. And then
I'll tell you what happened. What happened was Kris Bryant had one of the best seasons that we've seen in the past few years, and though he is an amazing prospect, I don't think it's realistic to think that he's going to put up those numbers like Mike Trout every single year. Javi Baez panned out to be their best player. That was a great situation. But Kyle Schwarber was insanely overrated. Anthony Rizzo was at his prime at that time, so he's only going to do anything but dip down. He's had some solid seasons, but not to the level of the MVP type level. They had to figure out shortstop because Addison Russell is a shitbag and he beat his wife. Jason Hayward, they signed to that massive contract and he did nothing. They got rid of their center fielder, Dexter Fowler. They shipped him to St. Louis.
Arnold. Yeah,
St. Louis. Their pitching, I mean, all those guys were in their prime at that moment. Jake Arrieta, except for Kyle Hendricks, Jake Arrieta, John Lester, all those guys are just fucking they're old dudes. They're not going to put up the same numbers that they did that year. Kyle Hendricks had a down year the past 2 years, but this past year, 2020, he definitely stepped it back up. What's his face? Darvish was a disappointment up until this season. He had a huge bounce back year. I mean, it goes on and on, man. It's just a lot of guys who haven't lived up to the potential. And one guy in particular, Kyle Schwarber, I want to say it again because I've been saying it since the World Series run. So overrated, so overrated. It's not even funny.
Yeah, I'm looking at their of their pitching from that year. Yeah, just kind of Wade Davis was pretty solid. Of course, Aroldis Chapman was there closing games out.
Wade Davis isn't even a closer anymore, is he?
No, yeah. Is he? Where was he? Colorado? I don't remember. But yeah, just they kind of hit lightning in the bottle with that lineup. The rotation did enough, but there's going to be some pretty big overhaul going at the Cubs, especially with this coming news. Theo Epstein, the boy wonder who helped break the Red Sox curse and broke the Cubs curse, has stepped down from his position with the Chicago Cubs as the team president. Pretty big deal. We know his track record of everything he's done with the Sox. We saw what he did with the Cubs, and now he's 46 and more or less out of a job. There were rumors about him potentially going to the Mets, some other teams, but he's pretty much said that he's taken the year off. But you've had other ideas.
Yeah,
about him.
I have a hot take on this one. So Theo Epstein. Okay, so we've been talking about it on this podcast for the past month. Nothing's happened yet, but we'll see. Billy Beane is a founder and owner of a venture capitalist firm that is devoted strictly to purchasing sports franchises and organizations. That was the firm that just bought, and The Rock is a part of this organization, this firm, which is the reason why The Rock got all of the spotlight when this happened. Their firm just recently purchased the XFL, and now they are in negotiations in purchasing the Fenway Group, which is the ownership group that owns the Red Sox, Liverpool Football Club. There's plenty more. I can't name off the top of my head. LeBron happens to be a member of this group, but they are selling a portion of the Red Sox. So his firm is looking to buy that portion of the Red Sox. And if that happens, Billy Beane will have a conflict of interest. He's not able to own two teams in Major League Baseball. He'll have to sell. And for those of you who don't know your history with the A's, back in, I believe it was 2004, when or maybe it's 2012, I don't know. 2002. His negotiation, part of his re-signing with the A's when his contract was up was that he was given part ownership, very small amount of it, but part ownership of the A's. So he owns part of the A's. He will have to sell those shares to who knows who. Theo Epstein, the only next step that he can take in baseball is to be an owner. He's been a vice president of baseball operations, been a general manager, blah, blah, blah. I guarantee you he wants to be an owner. So who's a logical person who needs to take that job as VP Ops and also wants to own part of a team? Theo Epstein is a interesting person to maybe be in that position. And obviously he'll probably want to own more than just a small amount that what Billy Beane owns. So I'm assuming maybe John Fisher throws a couple of his shares in there too, so that he can own a larger percentage. But it's a hot take, but it's not completely out of the realms of reality.
I think the other rumors or kind of people are speculating was like, I wouldn't be shocked if Rob Manfred gets outed, even though he's done so much for the owners more than he has for the team. And like Theo becomes the next commissioner of baseball, which that'd be great. You have somebody who's pretty young and really understands organizations and stuff. But wouldn't that be kind of the flex of like, oh yeah, you're losing Billy Beane as your VP and somebody's been the more or less the face of the franchise for the last 20 years. And you're getting Theo Epstein. And if anything, I'd be pretty stoked because, hey, that guy knows how to break a curse or two. So
they were talking about it on Levitard. Like, he's probably the second most famous front office person in the history of sports. Obviously behind Billy Beane because he had a fucking movie made about him. But
Pat Riley
was a coach for.
But he was already that's
strictly,
okay.
Strictly front office. Like, front office guys don't get a lot of spotlight. They're behind the scenes for a reason. Like, I mean, I definitely think that he's number two. I think it's quite a distance, just strictly on the movie aspect. But yeah, I mean, like I would love to have Theo Epstein. If Billy Beane's gonna go, which I don't want him to, I would want to have Theo Epstein because he'll actually, maybe I would rather have Theo Epstein because he would actually win a playoff series. But no, I'm just kidding. I love Billy Beane. I want him to win it for us. But yeah, I mean, it probably won't happen, but it's not out of the realms of reality. That's what I'm trying to pitch.
He's just gonna take a year off, and then he's just gonna sign up for teaching. What's it called? Like a master? What's that one? Like master's class?
Master class.
Master class. Yeah, he's just gonna do a master class on. how to run franchises.
But dude, here's
Okay.
also the thing. Like, I get the speculation around him, like potentially like being a general manager and Rob Manfred's out. But why, if you're the owners, why the fuck would you fire Rob Manfred? He's doing everything you ask him to do. Exactly. He's taking all the heat. No one's blaming the owners for this fucking debauchery of bullshit that they do the past few years. Like, he's the one. Like, that he does exactly what you need him to do. He negotiates, very strong on his side with against the players. He takes the heat. He, it is what it is. What it is. Like, why would you want to bring someone who's like an open-minded, progressive, um, uh thinking person to run your franchise when that's not what you want to do? Like, it makes no sense.
Well, that's just Oakland A's baseball or Oakland A's ownership more than anything.
I mean, I think that's all baseball ownership, to be completely honest.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not well, except for what's his name, Steve Cohen now at the Mets. God, I wish we had that guy.
Yeah. He might be the first one to kind of come in and start changing shit, and maybe he'll start pissing some owners off, and they'll start selling to guys like him, because that's so great for baseball. I'm so glad that Steve Cohen is in here. All right, Julio. So I'll just let you get it out of the way. All
yeah.
right.
So last but not least, the Hall of Fame ballot for
Show off.
2021 has been announced, and there's a lot of familiar names for us. First, we got, and we say this, I always say former Oakland greats sarcastically. These are legitimately 4 Oakland greats. We've got, first and foremost, one of my favorite players ever, Barry Zito, along with the anchor of him in the rotation in the Moneyball early 2000s, Tim Hudson, and we got our 2 dudes from the 2006 Oakland A's team that went to the playoffs and went to the ALCS, and Nick Swisher and Dan Herron. And followed along with our former Oakland A's greats, we have Mark Burley, the World Series champ, multiple-time All-Star. He pitched Cy Young. Torrey Hunter, the outfielding god, multiple Gold Gloves. Dude, out there.
Guy, I don't think I've ever seen anybody rob more home runs than Torrey Hunter. That motherfucker was a human highlight reel in center field.
Whenever I think about Torrey Hunter, I will always remember him robbing Barry Bonds at the All-Star game in like 2000. I think that was like 2001, 2002. And Barry just like fucking massive, just like picks him up like nothing.
Dude,
and messes with them.
It was a nightly occurrence on SportsCenter Top 10. He always was in there robbing someone. It was insane. Anyway, keep going.
And along with him, we have Adrian Burnett, World Series champ with the 2003 Florida Marlins. Florida Marlins, Miami Marlins, and I think he won with the Yankees. I could be wrong.
Yeah, in 2009, I think he was the ace of that staff. Oh no, CC was, but he was up. He was
there. Yeah, and then reliever extraordinaire LaTroy Hawkins. He's been around for a long time. Maris Ramirez, former Cub, multiple time All-Star, and last but not least, the flying Hawaiian Shane Victorino, World Series champ with the Philadelphia Phillies, as well as the Boston Red Sox.
Let me pose this question to you, Julio, before we jump into it. Do any of these guys get in the Hall of Fame?
No. Not this year.
I don't think any of them do ever. Maybe Mark Burley and Tim Hudson, and that's Torrey Hunter. Torrey Hunter is probably the front runner. Mark Burley, maybe, probably not. Tim Hudson, maybe, probably not. That's it. Like Nick Swisher, no. Shane Victorino, no. Barry Zito, I mean, the end of his career was bad. I think that's what scarred everybody. Dan Herron, no. I mean, he had some good years with the Angels and the A's, and that's pretty much it.
So like in real talk, honestly, AJ Burnett, LaTroy Hawkins, Amaris Ramirez, and Dan Herron, Nick Swisher will probably all be off the ballot next year. I don't think they're going to get enough votes.
No.
Zito, Hudson, Victorino, I think will get some votes to still be on there because of just the.
Who's going to vote for Shane Victorino? What, a Phillies fan?
Oh, of course, dude. No, and Boston. Of course, you're going to have somebody from the Boston Globe who's going to be a homer and put his name in there. It really comes down to if anybody's going to make it, it's going to be between Huddy, Bueller, Burley, and Torrey Hunter. Yeah. And reality is, I think the only one who's going to get is Torrey Hunter.
Yeah. I mean, and it might be a while too. This might be a good year for Barry Bonds to sneak in because this ballot is so underwhelming that some of these strong-headed anti steroid people like me might like kind of think twice, be like, oh, I gotta vote someone in this year, so maybe I'll throw a vote his way.
Missed someone out too.
I hope
Former
not, but-
Minnesota Twin Michael Godire. But
He was a good outfielder in MVP baseball 2005. I used to draft him.
Yeah, dude, that was like the prime time for the Twins that year.
Yeah.
So the full ballot for next year includes Bobby Abreu, Barry Bonds, Kris mentioned him, Roger Clemens, Todd Hilton, Andrew Jones, Jeff Kent, Andy Pettit, Manny Ramirez, Scott Rowland, Curt Schilling, Gary Sheffield, Sammy Sosa, Omar Vizquel, Billy Wagner.
I mean, there are some good players in there.
Yeah, it's
that didn't take steroids.
Yeah, this year was pretty
rolling, like. Sorry, go ahead, Julio.
Yeah, because 2020 they didn't have the actual ceremony, or they're gonna have it next year. But the two inductees were Derek Jeter and Larry Walker.
Yeah,
which like Larry Walker taking that long to get in was kind of ridiculous.
Full steroid.
So next year, let's just play a game. Let's do our hypothetical ballot. If you had your Hall of Fame ballot vote, what would it look like? Who would you put on there?
So my automatics are Todd Helton and Scott Rowland. I'm a little shocked that this is their second year even on the ballot. Andrew Jones is another one. Sorry, I just saw him on there. And then maybe Gary Sheffield and Omar Vizquel. Omar Vizquel was not a good hitter, though. Not a good hitter.
The argument with somebody like Omar, and it's going to be Torrey Hunter was like a pretty badass hitter for a few years with the Twins and the Angels too.
But I don't want to use one of my 5 votes on him.
Up to 5, right?
Yeah.
But for Omar, like it's kind of like if
maybe Manny, I don't know.
If Ozzie Smith is in the Hall of Fame, Omar should. Because Ozzie Smith is arguably not arguably, he is the best defensive shortstop of all time. He's like a human highlight reel. Omar Vizquel was up, he's up there, but here, let's look up the stats right now, because I remember Ozzie Smith at least always kind of like hit around like 270. But he could not hit a home run to like save his life, obviously, because he was small and shortstop, and that's not how the game was played back then. His lifetime batting average 260. Yeah, he kind of like went up and down, like 1 year 250, 1 year 280, 1 year 300, 1 year 270, 1 year 250. Yeah, he's kind of all over the place, but he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He has 13.
13 gold gloves, Julio.
Omar has 11.
Omar
is also a career 272 hitter.
So he has a better average.
And he was 123 hits away from 3,000.
God, he played so long. He played till he was 45.
And to think too. I think the big argument for Omar and why people are gonna try to make the push is like it's the longevity. That's the reason why he was able to like pump up some bigger numbers. It's because he played for 89 through 2012.
Let's use the Stugatz scale of if he's a champion or not. How many rings does he have? Omar Vizquel has 0 rings.
0.
Ozzie Smith
2.
Hold on, my internet is not being.
I think he has 2
right now. He has
1 82
amount of 1 World Series. Hey, just saying.
Oh shit! Ozzie Smith went to slow.
Just saying. That. How many rings does Duncan have? 5. How many does Shaq have?
Dude, 4? The ring. Okay, the ring argument for baseball is bullshit. That's the one sport where I'm like, that's not. I hate that argument for. Okay, so you're hypothetical. You have Scott Rowland.
Okay.
Who else do you have?
So Scott Rowland, Todd Helton, and Andrew Jones are like locks for me. And I'm surprised that all 3 of those guys I think this is their second year on the ballot. I'd have to see who was on the ballot last year, but like those three guys, in my opinion, are Hall of Famers. Like it's not even a question. And then I'm split. It's like Gary Sheffield is interesting, but he, I don't know. Gary Sheffield, did he have steroid issues? I can't remember.
He did. He was on the Balco report.
Yeah.
I think he was one of the people who actually did get busted. Whereas like
Yeah.
Barry never officially got busted.
And I don't feel good. Like, I don't know if I want to use my other two like votes because I just don't feel good about voting for someone else. I might feel good about Torrey Hunter. So Torrey Hunter will get my fourth. I don't know. I mean, I could be talked into Vizquel, but I just don't. I'm not on it right now. Well, what would yours be?
I'm gonna go. I'm Scott Rowland. Scott Rowland, dude. We're both again going back to MVP baseball days because it's just gonna be an analogy.
He's like one of the best defensive third basemen of our era. Yeah,
he's one of the best defensive. He hit bombs.
Yeah,
I loved it. I just remember his swing. How as I can't.
That Cardinals team was so fucking good.
I love that Cardinals team.
Him, Pujols, fucking
Edgar Renteria, Larry Walker.
Yeah, like Larry Walker on that team?
Larry Walker was there. I don't think he won that World Series in 04. No, in 06. I think he was already retired.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Cardinals team ruled,
dude.
So I have Scott Rowland. I'm going to go. As big of a shitbag he is, Curt Schilling. He's overdue. I hate it. Like he deserved to be in.
He was a great baseball player. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like one of the best postseason pitchers ever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna go all asshole ballot, pretty much. Outside of
asshole ballot.
Yeah, so I got Scott Rowland, I got Curt Schilling. I've got the man who actually has the most home runs ever for a second baseman, Jeff Kent. Jeff Kent should have been in hell long. I know there's like a lot of, again, all asshole ballot. I think he's deserved for that alone. I don't think if you look at every other position, whoever is the all-time leader in home runs in that position is probably in or will be in. So
he
probably
only
not
had
A-Rod.
like a few good seasons with the Giants, and that's kind of it. Like,
yeah, but wasn't he pretty good with the Astros? And then
he had one good year with the Astros.
Yeah, I think he was like.
Oh no, he had 2 good years. I don't know.
Yeah. 5-time All-Star, MVP.
He is an MVP. Yeah.
4 times, and like MVP at second base. That's hell. Like that should give you a little bit of a push.
He's the all-time leader at second base for home runs, really, over Joe Morgan.
Yep.
Wow, that's pretty shocking to hear.
Career 377.
Yeah, that 377.
And then you know what? This because of how weak this ballot is. Fuck it, Bonds Clemens.
268. Yeah, that's a good one. Who was the last one? Sorry.
Bonds and Clemens.
Oh,
my argument always been before they were juicing, there were already Hall of Famers.
Well, okay. Well, I was faithful to my wife for 20 years. Like, what do you want me to say? I'm a good husband since I was faithful for 20 years.
All right. I get it, but it should be, honestly, this is a pretty weak ballot.
Yeah.
Like, and I know it's probably, the reality is it's probably just going to be like Scott Rowland.
Yeah. I would, and maybe Todd Helton. I mean, Todd Helton has 500 home runs, man. Like,
Todd Helton has 500 home runs?
Yeah.
No shit.
Hold on, I'm looking it up to be sure right now. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm thinking Larry Walker, the other. No, he does not have 500 rooms. He has 369. But, I mean, he was just a fucking stud, dude. 4-time Gold Glover, 3-time Gold Glover, sorry. I mean, in the year 2000, 42 home runs, 147 RBIs, 372 batting average, 463 OBP, 1.162 OPS. Stud. Absolute stud. Almost won the Triple Crown.
So I'm looking at like,
let's see who won the Triple Crown that year.
Because I was reading about it. They're like, yeah, these next few ballots are just going to be ass.
So hold on. He didn't win the Triple Crown because because Jeff Bagwell, Sammy Sosa, and Gary Sheffield had more home runs than him. Steroid users.
Yeah.
Just saying. Just saying.
So did you figure out your fourth and fifth?
Oh, and Barry Bonds, 49. No, I don't want to. I just don't want to use them.
Right.
Actually, I'll give one to Torrey Hunter. And that's
Right.
it. I don't want to use my fifth. I don't feel good about it.
And this has been kind of a topic of conversation too, just like with a lot of the Hall of Fame talk.
Mm-hmm.
The next few years are going to be pretty crappy. 2022, Tim Lincecum, David Ortiz. David Ortiz, he's not going to get in because steroids. Jake Peavy.
David Ortiz will definitely get in, I feel like.
Yeah, but he got popped for steroids twice.
Did he?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. He's on TV. Everybody loves him.
Oh, of course. A-Rod.
No.
He's not going to get it.
He can go fuck himself.
Yeah. Jimmy Rollins.
No, man. His career was brutal.
And then Mark Teixeira, which
maybe Teixeira.
2023 gets a little bit. Carlos Beltran, I think, should be getting in, but
yeah,
he's a part. But he was a part of the 2017 Astros, so I think a lot of people are going to hold that against him.
I mean, he barely played.
No, but he was like supposedly like the ringleader in the clubhouse from the player side.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and then like Houston Street, John Lackey, Matt Cain, like none of those guys are going to get in.
No.
And then 2024, this one it gets tight. Adrian Beltre, Joe Mauer.
I don't know.
Joe Mauer's first ballot, dude.
I don't know, man.
6-time All-Star, 5-time Silver Slugger, 3-time Gold Glove winner, all 15 seasons with the Twins, 2009 MVP.
I think he's in. I just don't think he's first ballot.
I think because of how weak these classes are, I think he'll be in. And then David Wright.
No.
Maybe.
No.
And then it's going to be like 2025. 2025 is going to be tight. CC Sabathia and Ichiro.
Oh, yeah. He's for sure in.
Sabathia and Ichiro gets in. That's going to be so tight.
Ichiro's in that class too?
2025 it's going to be Ichiro Sabathia. They'll both be. Ichiro's probably going to get like. He might get close to 100% of the vote.
I think Sabathia would. No, Sabathia won't.
Sabathia won't.
Ichiro, yeah, because also a lot of people, but baseball writers know, but a lot of people don't understand like Ichiro, his numbers, like his career numbers, like they're like whatever, but that's because he played 8 seasons in Japan, and his Japan numbers are out of this world too, dude. Like
he hit 3,000 hits when he didn't start in the U.S. until he was like 29 or 30.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, if he's on the ballot, he's the first person I mark.
Yeah, 2001. Yeah, he was 28 already when he came to the States, and he got fucking 3,000 career hits.
We sound even more like Levitard now. We're talking about like 90s baseball, we're talking about 2000s baseball, but like, you know how like they like what gets them really going and like starts conversations talking about 90s baseball. It's so random. All right, Julio,
it's gonna be a dry spell for a while, but we got great baseball now. So
yeah, before we get to the break and our guest, you want to flex on a prediction that you had, so have at it.
Sorry, taking my victory lap. Last episode, we did our award ceremony picks, or it was award ceremony. We did Cy Young and all this stuff, but they hadn't announced the MVP yet. And it's down to the 3. I correctly said Jose Abreu and Freddie Freeman both won MVP. And I'm just gonna take a virtual jog in my apartment on that. Congrats. They both deserved this year. Jose Abreu's speech was... Play a victory
song with the harp.
And when you will kill me if I touch it. But like Jose Abreu, if you saw the clip, like he was super emotional. and he was just thinking about like his grandma and stuff. And of course, Freddie Freeman got like COVID pretty bad. To see him come back the way he did this year, both deserved it.
Stud.
But I think if anybody deserves it more, it's me, because I was right.
Jose Abreu's been on that team for a minute now too, and like he went through the dark days of that team. So it's pretty cool for him to win an MVP and kind of lead them to platform. All right, cool. So let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back with our very special guest, Jessica Kleinschmidt. You guys all know her, you're big fans, and she joins us to do some hot takes. So stick around, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for staying with us during the break. Like we said at the beginning of the episode, we have a very special guest this week. A lot of A's fans should know her. You should see her on her coverage on NBC Sports Bay Area. She's a digital reporter or writer. How would you say?
I do everything, Kris. So
she's a digital everything.
I'm a digital everything.
She's also the co-host of Corked Up with Rachel Luba and the host of Balk Talk. And the president of the Joey Votto fan club. Jessica Kleinschmidt.
The unofficial, whatever you want to call it.
I don't have a name tag yet, but I'm hoping that happens in the near future.
But you have a license plate, so I think that's
I feel like name tag. That's actually that was a gift of mine from one of my best friends who introduced me to the Joey Votto affinity, and she moved from California. She sold her car, and the first thing she wanted to do is make sure I got that, and makes me look kind of like a psycho, but it's fine.
It could be like an official name tag if you did it like Flavor Flav style and got a chain and like wore it around all the
time.
That'd
be pretty
like
cool.
Some real
That's actually
swag.
A really good point. But then I don't want to ever do the same thing that Flavor Flav did.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong there.
I don't have a response to that.
I know, it's that good.
Welcome to the show. We're excited to have you. To be honest, when we started with this podcast, it's only 3 months old. This is pretty much like a COVID passion project. Kris has had his own pod for a while. And we knew eventually, most of the time, honestly, it's been our friends on here. It's just been friends from home. Both of us were from Antioch.
I mean, we are a fan podcast, so it's like we try to drive it towards like the fan.
Yeah.
But we knew eventually we wanted to start getting people that we know that we really like admire on the show. And you're like one of the first people I thought of. So not to like kiss your ass or anything, but
that's so nice. I hope my mommy hears that. I love that.
We're both big fans of your Twitter. And that's what led us to it. Yeah.
Right.
Honestly, so I'm always
fans out there. Yep. She's a good Twitter follow, so you should follow her. She's funny and interesting.
I'm always a fan of any Twitter account that will just dunk on people that deserve it. And I would say you're
facts too. It's not like I'm being rude. It's like, read the damn article, y'all. I probably wrote what you said in the article, or if they're talking crap about one of my boys, that's not okay either. So or it's a lot of sexist stuff too, but
oh God.
Yeah.
So the first thing we kind of want to ask you, and it's not an interview, so I don't want to say that way, but so I know that a lot of journalists in sports like don't want to identify as like a fan because it's like unprofessional.
Right.
You're just a reporter or whatnot. But would you consider yourself an A's fan? I also don't want to misquote you.
No, I did. That's how I got into it. Was I was just blogging because I was an A's fan, and then it just kind of excelled from there. Now, as time went on, my coverage went outside of the A's. Of course, I covered the Giants and I covered baseball nationally. But that's what you ultimately want, right? Would you rather read a blog of somebody who can identify with the fans? I want to know what the fans are wanting to consume as far as content, because I am a fan myself. Like, what would I want to read about? Cool. Yeah. We thought we were joking about war and slash lines. That's important for sure. But I want to talk to y'all about like how Marcus Semien's feeling in the free agency, his first one ever, or, not having Matt Chapman in the clubhouse. That's huge. Or what was the funny thing that Chris Davis said to Jonah Heim, just stuff like that. So you have to branch out from just the stuff. But I think being a fan is why I am so passionate about what I do. And it's just, I have a unique perspective. And I feel like that has a lot to come coming from a fan, which is, and I know it gets weird because people are like, oh, she's just a fan, whatever. But I have the work ethic and stuff to back it up, so it's not anything from that perspective. But yeah, I'm definitely not only an A's fan, but a huge baseball fan too. So that helps.
So since you're an A's fan, you're obviously very familiar with the culture, the tailgate. Do you have an interesting tailgate story you could share with us and our listeners?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. One time I got really drunk on tequila at a tailgate.
As all A's tailgaters do.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And then I can't, all I remember is like Sean Doolittle being the bullpen. And that's pretty much all I can tell you about that night. But then like I it was just, it's always fun. The tailgates are just fun. And, I mean, Raiders tailgates are pretty fun too, but I mean, they're like a different animal. But it's just stuff like that. Like I just, it's always good. Like you see right field Will out there all the time and he always just makes me so happy. So just, having a beer, I can't do that lately because every time I walk by the tailgates, I'm heading to an assignment.
Yeah, so you're working. Yeah. It's a little different now.
But they'll offer me food and, Brian always does it. He's always great about it. So it's just like, it just warms my heart. Get off BART, see my people, setting up for the tailgate at effing 10 o'clock in the morning for a 3 o'clock game.
Yeah.
Drinking mimosas as I head to the game. So it just, that's when I know like, okay, cool. It's like you're back at the Coliseum and you're getting ready to cover a game. That just makes me happy.
Julio, do you want to tell her about the time that Dallas Brayton joined our tailgate?
Oh yeah. So
that's a very Dallas thing.
Yeah, this is a very Dallas Brayton. But I was gonna say the one thing about like the tailgates and one of the reasons why we kind of chose this name for the show is like tailgates are very much like a family thing, even if it's like, and like family in the sake of like the corny Fast and Furious family,
yes.
Like people that you don't know them outside of there, but like, hey, what's up? You dab them up. It's always a great time there. Yeah, but 2018, Kris and I, along with a few other friends, we tailgated at the home opener. It was like Shohei Ohtani's like first game as an Angel, so it was like a pretty like big one. Yeah. And Dallas was roaming around the parking lot with the NBC Sports team.
Yeah, he was doing an assignment. That's right.
Yeah, he was doing an assignment. So we're like, Dallas, let's get a picture. And we got a picture with us. I'm like, hey, man, we're about to play some Ford Banger. Do you want to play? And he was like, I can't.
We almost convinced him to play.
We wish Dallas and I tried to like push so many things, just because like I'm like a bro myself. Like I often forget like, oh wait, you have to be a reporter and like a journalist and like chill a little bit. Yeah. So I often go on that line a little bit more, but Dallas and I get into some trouble, so it's fun.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So let's talk about some A stuff. So you recently had Marcus on your podcast, Marcus Semien. Talking about free agency a little bit. It's mostly about like coaching with Tyson Ross and stuff like that. But I don't know. We were kind of like, we wanted to hear your opinion on this because if you would have asked us back in 2017, like, would Marcus be one of the top free agents on the market? We would have told you you're out of your fucking mind. Like that guy was, he's one of the worst shortstops in baseball.
Yeah.
But something about him like turning that around, and I think just his demeanor in general just made him become like such a important leader in the clubhouse. What do you think that made him like kind of like do that and turn that around? Like, was it just better play? Was it just like becoming a father? Like what about him and his experience and his adventure to getting to where he is now made him such an impactful person in the clubhouse?
Well, Ron Washington for sure played a huge role in that. And that was, the coaching core stuff, which is just part of that coaching stuff that he's doing now.
Yeah.
But Ron Washington, the guy knows defense, right? And so that's why he was brought on, because we saw something in Marcus Semien. We knew he could be a very good shortstop. He ended up being a phenomenal shortstop. And so I think he just needed that confidence and to know when I did talk to him about it. You guys obviously listened to the podcast, like having the A's behind him definitely was an ego boost, right? He's a Bay Area guy, huge in Oakland. He makes his parents happy to know that he's an Oakland guy from that perspective. But I think it was a confidence level for sure. I also think, I mean, I'm a former athlete myself, and once you get past that bump, you're kind of unstoppable. And then that's when the 747 plate appearances came in. That's when 162 starts. And that was a career goal of his. He told Melvin, I want to do this. And I think that's when, because he got that bite, right? Ron Washington put it in him, and it was beyond just the playing ability. I asked Marcus heading into the season, he was like, off the field stuff, Ron helped me with too. And that's beyond confidence, right? You have to be like, just remind yourself that you're like, think about it. A good batting average in baseball, you're still effing up a good amount of time, but you're hitting 333. That's good. That means what? You're effing up quite a bit. So you could still, you're going to have those 0 for 4 days quite a bit. And so I think you have to remind yourself to come back from that. So when you are struggling with hitting and you don't have a good defense to back it up, it's probably going to be in a very dark place.
Yeah.
He was able to come back. And I think of all people, Washington, who just like doesn't give a shit. He's like, this is how you got to do. You got to get your shit together. Let me teach you how. And I think he made it complicated but simple, because that's the kind of mentality I feel like Wash has. So he went on from that. But I think once you get that itch and you're good, you can't really be stopped. And he had that dip in 2020, but I think that's actually going to help him come back to the A's. And I was from what I've heard, there are teams that are interested in him, to the point where there's actually a couple teams, maybe at least one team, that's willing to shift their normal shortstop to accommodate Marcus Semien. And he's fucking worth it, dude.
And what I want to hear.
I know, but you got to remember,
Yeah.
next off season, you got Corey Seager, Trevor Story, Carlos Correa, all these big names.
And the CBA.
Francisco Lindor may not be with the Indians anymore, so maybe that might change a little bit. Imagine him going on that, in that off season with that market. It might be interesting. I don't know. We don't know how this off season is going to play out in and of itself. It's an unprecedented season, but I can honestly tell you, David Forrest himself, he was like, from the moment that the entire season, he was very upfront with Marcus that they want to bring him back, and him and La Stella are guys that they want to bring back. And you have to, I mean, that defensive infield is stupid good. You can't break that up. In the last 3 seasons, theoretically walking into the clubhouse this season, I didn't actually get able to. It's the same guys. You got to see Canna again, Davis again, Chapman again, Olsen again. And that's not what you're used to with the A's. So they need to build off of that in order to continue success. They broke the curse. They won a wild card game. Cool. We got that out of the way. And now it's like they want to continue building out that. And Marcus is 100% the core, and not just outside of the game. Like, he's a community member as well. And that's just important to build on this team that unfortunately a lot of people don't give a fuck about.
So he's my favorite player. So hearing Mark Canna's remarks after the last game about his leadership, about his friendship, all that stuff.
Good man.
He's a good man. It literally warmed my heart to hear that, especially it being your best friend. Like, that's what you want to hear.
Yeah. And
or favorite player, sorry.
Yeah. And Canna, Semien, and then Bob Melvin, they're like Bay Area bros, man. And it's just like, that's the vibe I love. It is. I had
for the listeners, I just did a hang loose, and then she just did it back.
I did it too. But that's like the thing I love. And like, I wish y'all could see what happens inside that clubhouse. It's like, I've been inside of many clubhouses before, but the A's is just, there's something special about that chemistry.
It's just so weird. Just if you think about like the history over the last 20 years with Moneyball, with just all these different teams, the one thing that's really been, it's just been that clubhouse presence. Even if it's been different managers, we've always had guys who've just been very lighthearted, keeping things fun. And it's just Oakland. That's what just Oakland does to people. But honestly, Marcus, we were talking about it. Kris and I were texting each other earlier today because there was rumors about like the Reds looking for a shortstop. I just don't see him leaving the West Coast. I know like Kris brought up like his wife has LA roots. I wouldn't be shocked if he like ends up on the Angels. As much as I hate it, it's one of those things, like, as much as I hate it, it'd be nice to still see you around kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you bring up a really good point though, just about like next offseason is going to be stacked. If he's going to go get paid, this is the time to do it.
And the CBA is expiring. Like we saw like what the contract or what the negotiations were with this COVID season. Like, we don't know what it's going to be in next year.
And I mean, I hope to God we don't have that stupid runner on second rule again, because I like my life. Like we're watching Shohei Ohtani walk out to second base, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, what is happening? But then, and of course it was like the A's were the first team to do it, right? So you're sitting there like, what a joke. But then I kind of liked it. I mean, after a while, just because you were like, you can't say it's a joke because you want people to take this season seriously. And I'm kind of glad the Dodgers won just so it seemed like a normal season. Like, okay, they were supposed to win, right? Kind of deal. But so I'm hoping that's out of it. I don't mind the DH, but I'm hoping they announce it quickly because the NL teams need to prepare for that.
I hope, the DH is the one that sticks around, but I think it's like the quirk of the set runner on second. At first, it's like, oh, this is cool. And then you're like, wait, this is kind of bullshit. Like, this is stupid.
I'm just
it's like the whole new strategy to it. You already brought it up, but you've talked about like, you've been to the clubhouse many times. You pretty much lived there during a non-COVID year.
Yeah.
This was the first time that really everybody had to go remote. Everybody was just on Zoom calls outside of the obvious thing of getting better internet, thanks to Xfinity, because company gal,
Yeah.
What was probably like the biggest adjustment you had to make throughout the season compared to what you had to do the previous season coverage-wise?
Honestly, I was honestly busier just because I could do so many things from here because I have 2 shows. I'm on A's pre and post sometimes. I'm the main A's reporter, and I'm still doing like producer work for the rest of the Bay Area teams. So for me, it was just like learning to say no a little bit more. Like, okay, you don't have to do everything. But I do miss the connection too. And like, there's just things that I would be able to write in an article that I'd be like, oh, well, Chris Davis is playing with a tennis ball and he would shoot it in the hoop with Sean Manaea, and just like little things that you could bring the reader into the clubhouse with you. I obviously couldn't do that. But it also taught me to ask better questions too, and like not be intimidated by certain people that I was on the beat with, learning from them because we were all adjusting and everything like that. But it also reminds me like the digital is the way to go. Like people are so obsessed with television, but it's like, we can only show so much on TV, especially in these weird times where, I do notice little things and I'm able to do that just from my view. And I can sense a guy's body language, if you will, and everything like that, and more access actually. So I could just dial into a Dusty Baker interview way better than having to run in heels across the damn field, which does not sound sexy because it's not. Why don't you change your shoes, Jess? That's besides the point, guys. The point is I have to run across to the other clubhouse. So I did like that. That was really cool, being able to cover the postseason and being like, okay, Mark Hanna, Matt Olson's interview's done. Let me go over to Dusty Baker. Where's the button? Where's the login? Just stuff like that. So that was really, really cool. I really liked that aspect. But I mean, everything I learned covering the game, my routines had to throw out the window, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always done that. I'm very resilient and I'm able to adjust quickly. So we all had to do it. Like knowing that I was going through the same bullshit as Jeff Passan, like made me feel okay. Like, okay, cool. He has to watch this on Zoom as well. So that helped. But I actually didn't mind it too much, except for I just miss the field. I just miss like
being
my
at the
friends
game,
being in town, and like just seeing the fans, and then getting to rub it in the fans' faces that I had better access than them was kind of be like, remember,
that's
y'all,
why you should follow her on Twitter, everybody.
Yeah, I was like, remember how you guys talk shit about me on Twitter? Well, I'm down here and you're up there. So and just like, little things like that. And I miss my friend, like the people that I finally networked and met amazing people. I couldn't see them when they were in town, and that really sucked too. And just being able to be up close and personal to Mike Trout was really cool. And I can't do that and stuff. And so little things like that. But at the end of the day, like I was safe. I wasn't exposed to any of the players. And I think they felt good about that. But it just is what it is.
A lot of girl power on the beat too, which is badass. Just want to say.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. One photo and it was just like all these women and Martin Gallegos.
Honorary member of the squad, Martin.
He is our biggest ally, and I shit you not. He's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But when I was thinking of, you were talking about how like you don't get kind of those like little details about like, oh, Katie playing hoops with a tennis ball. I felt like the most common thing that I was seeing across like a bunch of baseball writers is like, yeah, they were just in their hotel playing Call of Duty. That was like that was like their team bonding thing or whatever.
I mean, like who isn't doing that during quarantine?
Yeah.
like work for 3 hours and then I'll just like jump on MLB The Show.
Right. My thing is like, oh, I have the night off. What am I going to do? And I walk out to the living room. Cool.
Especially now with everything shut down. Julio, should we jump into our segment?
Yeah. So this can be a fun one. We've done this in the past. The segment, it's called I've Had a Few Beers, but we're going to do this Thanksgiving edition. Thanksgiving just passed.
Okay.
First and foremost, hope you had a great Thanksgiving. But you know, at a Thanksgiving dinner, you always have that one family member,
uncle
who's had a little bit too much.
The aunt.
Who's had a little bit too much to drink and just spew some shit. And you're like, all right, you need to chill out.
Right.
So normally what we do it is like when we're at, you have that person's kind of drunk at the tailgate who's going to be like, Mark Hanna's going to hit 50 home runs this season. You're like, all right, dude. Love that guy.
I would be drunk at Thanksgiving dinner saying Mark Hanna's going to hit 50.
So you would be your Aunt Jessica, who
I'm anti-Jess. I'm anti-Jess, but like I'm the only liberal in my family. Oh. So I just
got it.
Like the third glass of wine hits and I'm just like, I think it's go time. So
Damn.
I'm ready to go. Here we go. Before the pie comes out, I would like to say something. No, I'm just kidding. But it's fine because everybody else is like in families and chilling, and I'm like, basically the girl lives out in California, got out of Reno, and I get to cover sports. They all are envious of my life, so of course I'm like the black sheep. But anyways, continue with the game. Give me more rules.
That's it. I mean, it's just like
that's it pretty much. Yeah,
it's just you're at the tailgate. You go up to your Uncle Mike. He literally just takes a shot and he goes, Kris, let me tell you something. All right. And then he just goes on with whatever his hot take is. So this one is specific for free agency for off season. So we're going to do your free agency. I've had a few beers, and then your trade. I've had a few beers. So if you have some crazy trade that you want to propose.
Oh, okay. So my free agency, I've had too many beers.
If you want to think about it, one of us can go ahead.
Yeah, you guys go ahead.
Okay, because there's one I've had in my mind for like a couple months now, as soon as I saw its decline.
Yeah, you got very excited about it last night, so I'm very excited to hear it.
Yo, guys, I've had a few beers. I think this stuffing is starting to get to me, and I'm a little drunk off of sweet potato casserole. But I think Corey Kluber has Oakland A written all over him. Here's why. He just got cut. Back-to-back injured seasons.
I was gonna say, is he a free agent?
The Rangers nixed his contract. Back-to-back bad injury seasons. Mm-hmm. There's nothing a pitcher loves more than having a more or less rehab bounce back season at the Coliseum. Historically, that's been a thing for as long as we've known. And I think that's a great addition. Mike Fiers is going to be leaving. Mike Fiers is more than likely going to be leaving. We just lost Mike Minor. Fuck it. Why not kick the tire? See if you can get somebody like Corey Kluber.
I know, and I agree. But like, I mean, the only reason why you've had too many beers is because it's like you want the A's to do that.
Exactly.
Welcome to the segment.
Like you want them to do it so bad because it's like one of those like the drunk girl who's like saying all the honest shit. You're like, she makes a good point, but she's wasted. But she makes a good point. But like she's always that girl, right? Like,
so what makes Julio's take unrealistic?
I don't think it's unrealistic at all, to be honest. The only reason why it'd be unrealistic is because like that's what we want to happen. Historically, it may not. Only because maybe because of where Kluber is in his career, sure, why not? But I've always prayed that the A's would like rent a guy, like a Dallas Keuchel for a season, and like just jump on in there, right? I mean, they're for the most part. Bob Melvin heading into the season was like, I'm stoked for this team. And they were stacked, right? They had everything going for them. I just had Cliff Floyd on the podcast and he had A's going against the Dodgers in the World Series before it started. And that's because they had the right pitching and stuff. So the beautiful part about the A's, unless there's a lot of players eligible, arbitrated, and like we know that, but the pitching is not that bad, right? I mean, like, think about it. If like Minaya and Montes are on it, because Montes could be a Cy Young Award winner if he really pushes it. So if you think about it from that perspective, why not have another veteran in there? Because you want to replace a Mike Fiers who, he's been able to get a job for the next decade with his secondary pitches. Why the fuck not? You throw in somebody else like that. Kluber, who actually has velocity still. Why not? And I actually really love that. So you are pretty sober to me.
I hear what you're saying. I do. But I think this past playoff run kind of proved that we don't have that dog that just goes in game one and is like, I'm fucking winning this game for us. Like, I'm sorry. Like, offense, great, but I don't need your help because I'm going to fucking dominate this other team.
But
we don't have that. And we haven't
if
had
you
that.
think the A's would actually go after a guy like that. They should. There should.
They're not going to get a Trevor Bauer. They're not going to get a Marcus Stroman. Well, Marcus Stroman just resigned, but we're not going to get one of those guys.
They definitely will not get Marcus Stroman. That's for sure. But here's the thing, though. Susan Slessor made a good point. Every now and then, they did like a John Lester scenario, a Jeff Samardzija scenario.
Scarred by that.
Like, it doesn't always work out, but
Billy Butler
ideas there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like I'm right there with you. My dream of dream. This is me, Jess, as an A's fan. Like, go balls out, dude. I mean, you have everything there. You just need, because the bullpen might be good again. Liam Hendricks more than likely will not be with the A's, but you have Diekman, you have guys that they may want to bring back, because a lot of the A's could be high risk or low risk, high reward, but they see something in those bullpen guys. I don't know what the scouting department does, but they sense that. Yeah. But you want, obviously, I mean, I remember back in the day when guys would pitch for 9 innings, but here we are. It's just kind of one of those things. So I would love that. And I would love for them to make a splash like that. They need to. I mean, I feel like the A's would have gone far in a 162 game season too. So I would absolutely adore that. So you're not as drunk as you think you are.
I love that you said Frankie Montas for Cy Young, because our very first episode, we did this segment too. And my I've had a few beers was, I think Frankie Montas is going to win Cy Young. And like the first 5 starts, I felt like super confident about it. And then he got injured, and just, that was kind of it for him.
He definitely was in discussions heading into this season. And I had everybody's back with that. And like Luzardo, Rookie of the Year, I don't think anybody would say that was a hot take. We even had hot takes, and Dallas sprayed and said I needed to go to a mental hospital because I thought Matt Olson was going to hit 30 bombs. But I'm sorry, I had faith
in a 60 game season. I mean, you might as well just give him the home run record if he's going to hit 30 bombs in 60 games.
I'm going to say what I told Dallas. I'm sorry that I have faith in my boy and y'all don't. It didn't work out, but it wasn't called soft takes. It wasn't called cold takes. It was called hot takes. And I came in with the fire.
I respect it. I'm just I'm on the Stugatz like bandwagon, where if in a 60 game season you hit more than 30 home runs, you should just get the home run record.
I agree.
So do you have one, or do you want me to go first?
I have a free agent one, but I'm like hammered with this one.
Let's hear it.
Maybe not that hammered. So this is literally, I'm not
11 shots in type of.
I want to preface this with, I haven't heard anything. Okay. But I like the idea of Trevor Bauer to the Giants. That's me pretty hammered for a multitude of reasons. Okay.
You heard the scoop here on this podcast. She's reporting it.
There is no scoop. There is no scoop. I will say, and this is on public record.
You're friends with his agent, just saying.
I'm best friends with his agent. Thank you very much.
Get it right, Kris. Get it right.
I'm sorry.
Actually is a Giants fan. That's just public knowledge. So that's not anything bad. You can easily write off of that. Well, Rachel Lube is a Giants fan. The reason why I brought this up is Mark Feinsand was on my podcast, and he's like, and he made a good point. So think about it this way: the Dodgers and Padres pretty much going to own the NL West, but where are the Rockies and Diamondbacks going to be? Probably not that great, right? So you're going to have that third place team with the Giants again, and look how they're doing. Mike Yastrzemski's still going to be hot. Alex Dickerson got to have an off season without rehabbing an injury for the first time. That's awesome. He knows the NL West, and you have Buster Posey coming back. May not be a game changer, but he's going to help some things out. So you want to throw somebody in there like Trevor Bauer, who may, if he wants to, say for instance, he just wants a 1-year contract. That's a possibility, right? So he can make it interesting in the NL West, and maybe after that season go to perhaps the Padres or the Dodgers after that. But that third place team is going to be that team to piss a lot of teams off, right? They may not win the NL West. They probably won't, but let's fuck some shit up, so that kind of deal. And might as well do it from a team that is at a gorgeous park. I love covering Giants games. No offense. It's just like my favorite place.
No, we get it. We're on that train too.
Yeah. So it from that perspective, but I mean, obviously the Dodgers are stacked from their farm system up. Like they just have this random 20-year-old just going to shove on the mound. You're like, where the fuck did this guy come from? But okay. Like, and just stuff like that. So I think it's going to be interesting, but I've had a lot of shots.
He fits in so well culturally too. Just like he's such like a zany dude, and he pretty much would pick up like
even when they were shopping Bryce Harper a lot. Think about the content. The Giants, I love them, but they're kind of vanilla, right? And just from a content perspective, you throw a Trevor Bauer in there in fucking Silicon Valley. Are you kidding?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. He's gonna be doing droid commercials in no time if he was gonna be out there.
You wouldn't believe.
I've always like wondered what like Giants fans' affliction was for Hunter Pence, and it's like because he's the only person who's ever had like a slight personality who's played there. Like that's
Well, but I mean, Brandon Belt's hilarious too. Brandon Crawford is. Buster Posey's really funny too. You just don't get to see it that much.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's my
all right, Kris.
My take.
Well, mine doesn't feel so hot anymore after that.
Here, go ahead and just take another swig.
Yeah,
again, shoot it
of my water. Okay. I've had a few beers, but what's up with Rick Porcello? He seems like he fits in with the
Porcello.
Yeah, Rick Porcello.
Oh, that's the Porcello. I'm like Porcello.
Oh, I might have stumbled.
I said too. I was like, I don't know.
I might have stumbled on my words. Rick Porcello, former Cy Young winner for the Red Sox. What's been up with him lately? Because he feels like, again, very much like Julio's take. He fits in perfectly with the A's. A guy who's coming off a big contract, hasn't necessarily played well the past couple of years, could use a big bounce back, go to the Coliseum.
Probably pay him $10 million, which isn't too crazy.
Yeah, and I think he'd fit in perfect. And it'd be like a 1-year deal, which we all know that the A's and David Force love throwing those 1-year deals. They don't want to commit to anything. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'm not that drunk yet, but I think that's a pretty solid.
Hot, but like
no,
I dig it. I mean, like
a lot of AL exposure. I don't hate
know. Mm-hmm. Well, he was with the Mets, and was the Mets. Like the Mets are going to be awesome going forward with new ownership, but like
Uncle Steve
this year was just the LOL Mets again.
Yeah,
I dig it.
It's not a bad suggestion, but I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of like a buzzkill.
I know.
No, Kris, you did good, son.
I don't have a good trade though. I couldn't think of a good trade.
Oh well, let me tell you.
Let's see if you can make up for it with this.
I hear Blake Snell might be on the move pretty soon. And
here we go. There he is.
The A's are the perfect destination for this guy. So let's look at his contract status.
Love it.
So he is not up until 2023. This year he makes $11 million. That's pretty cheap for one of the best pitchers in all of baseball.
Down. Okay.
$13 million. Yeah, I have a little black book I write notes in.
You've been writing Kris Snell on there too.
Yes. You can't read it because I wrote it in black. $13 million in 2022, $16 million in 2023. In 2023, there's an argument to be made that the A's front office might be like, fuck it, we're out. Like, we haven't gotten any success, so let's just trade everybody. Let's pull a 2014 and let's just like fucking trade the farm. You could probably find a suitor for Blake Snell in 2023 if that is the case. So here's my trade.
So do you think the farm system will be better by then?
No, but you would have to
really sucks.
You would have to restock the farm system by trading guys like Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, Blake Snell.
I'm not doing this. I'm not.
The show's over.
I mean, I'm just trying to play in the real world.
I'm going to get my clubhouse back and you're going to take that shit away from me.
They have a history of doing it. What do you want me to say? Hey, I'm a realist. I'm also I'm also pretty drunk, clearly.
Yeah. I'm ordering you an Uber.
So what is one deficiency that the Rays have? I looked it up. So they have Mike Zunino at catcher. He only played 30 games last season. He hasn't exactly played the best in the past few years. And then they have
he's not a bad catcher though. He's Mike Zunino, right?
But they have like a good young team. So wouldn't you want to stock up and try and get like a catcher?
Don't you say it.
Future?
Don't you say it.
Tyler Soderstrom. Austin Allen. Oh no, definitely not Sean Murphy. Get the fuck out of here.
I was like, dude, I'm done with you, man.
That's if he stopped drinking and went to the drugs. It's like, let's not go there.
Anyway, Tyler Soderstrom, Austin Allen, Grant Holmes, and Dalton Jeffries. So you get two young pitchers.
No. Dalton's my baby. No.
I mean, but you have to intrigue them with something. So you get 2 catchers just in case one of them doesn't work out. Who says no? Who says no? Who says no? Who says no?
This is why I don't play this game, because I am upset.
You're playing with feelings
I hit you right in the feels.
Well, I'm just going to have Grant and Dalton on Bog Talk soon, and I have to tell this to them. I'm like, do y'all think you're worth getting like a Blake Snell?
I mean, they should say yes. Did I just upset you even more?
Okay, so yes, I love me some Blake Snell. He's great if managers keep him in the fucking game.
Can you not tell them that I said that, please, actually, by the way?
But he once offered a fan chicken tenders, or got chicken tenders from a fan for a ball, which immediately I'm like, yeah, give him all the farm system. That's the kind of guy I need in Oakland. Because if Mama wants a chicken tender,
yeah,
I'm gonna share him with Blake Snell. You know, that's it. That's all I got.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah. Why not? Fuck it. If you're gonna go all in,
why not? Why? Why not?
No, yeah, it's just like it's not within their characteristics as it should be. It's just,
all right.
There's a possibility.
You're gonna hate this one then if that was too spicy.
Please don't tell Dalton I said that.
I'm going to tell Dalton.
If you do tell, make sure to say Kris Magical from the Town Tailgate podcast.
Yeah, I'll like
on
plug
Apple,
it.
Spotify,
Like,
YouTube.
No, it's funny. So my podcast this morning was one of
Shameless
Dalton's
plug.
best friends. They played college ball together. I think they played college ball together. And so Dalton was already on the podcast, and the guy was like, "You're probably our biggest guest on the podcast." And they've had Dalton Jeffries, and I was like, "I hope you tell Dalton that I'm a bigger guest than him." Because I need that.
I've been drinking wine.
At a tailgate, loser.
At the
wine in a
dinner,
red Solo cup.
drinking. I'm drinking beer. I've been drinking everything.
Okay.
Oh.
And I might go outside and see if one of the young kids has a cigarette or a vape that I might hit.
Oh my god!
But if Marcus Semien leaves,
A vape.
if Marcus leaves, you already brought up, this is a core that like we got to win this shit now or they're all gone. Try to get Lindor.
Oh, I knew you were gonna go with that one, dude.
What would you do?
AJ Puck.
Oh.
I would give AJ Puck, Austin Beck, and probably another pitcher, maybe even a major league pitcher like Manaea, to get 1 year
She's
of Lindor
right now.
Yeah, she's had it. 1 year of Lindor to just say, no, we're going all in.
I feel like you're giving up too much for him. He's only got 1 year left on his deal.
I feel like Manaea is a little much.
Yeah.
Because so I feel like Lindor maybe a couple seasons ago, sure. But I feel like remember that really big, and I'm not saying this is a bad idea. I'm just like kind of analyzing it. But remember, Lindor is probably going to be maybe not though, Kris. Think about it. If Lindor is on the trading block right now, people are going to be biting at him. You're going to probably want to ask the overselling price, right? Like a house. Does that make sense?
If
so we'll put Manaea. Oh, that makes me sad. No,
if he's on the trade block, then I feel like we can get him for cheaper.
You know the guys wear Hawaiian shirts when Sean Manaea starts. The guys all wear Hawaiian shirts.
Do they really?
Yes.
God damn it!
Now I'm gonna wear a Hawaiian shirt every time he starts. That's something.
Mike Minor told me that. That's like the cutest thing I've ever heard.
Julio,
so I hope you feel like shit, Julio, because we're not gonna have that anymore.
Julio, we have to wear Hawaiian shirts. Next episode.
One of our friends has like an A's Hawaiian shirt, and I feel like now I need to buy it.
You absolutely do. I desperately want to marry a man and have him old enough to buy Tommy Bahama stuff just so he could wear Hawaiian shirts to games.
And then you can.
I guess you don't have to be old to do that. I'm just gonna. Maybe I'll just wear one.
Yeah, I mean, what do you have to be old for that? I mean,
I just feel like it's like when I walk by Tommy Bahama, I feel like I'm gonna marry a guy one day and we're gonna go shopping in that. But when I'm like 60, I feel like I just want to wait. It's something I want to look forward to. You know?
At work we have Hawaiian shirt days all the time. It's like, okay, on Friday, everybody make sure you wear a Hawaiian
you're a
shirt.
60-year-old man then.
I like to pretend I am sometimes. Hey,
Sometimes
6-year-old men have some pretty nice lives.
I'm like, bro, like,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like
the day I turned 30, I woke up and I had back pain. I was like,
that's what I told my friends. Like, once you turn 30, I'm like, you just wake up like something hurts.
And your metabolism's like,
I don't know why.
No, bitch.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Lindor made $17 million this year. He's gonna probably make probably about that this year. I don't know if he's on the block. Like, I don't feel like
that's only if
that much.
Marcus
If he's on the block,
that's
if they're
like
shopping him. They're trying to get rid of him. So they're gonna
because even a replacement for Marcus would like. It's not difficult. People mentioned Andrelton Simmons could be a really great replacement for Marcus Semien. And I feel like the Angels and the A's like have that bond where they're constantly talking. I mean, if you're able to get La Stella, like you want to get somebody to even that out with him. Because I feel like La Stella has a really good chance of coming back to the A's. And he got along with the team so well. So you want to build around that. But I mean, no matter what you do, Marcus Semien's irreplaceable. Like just from dynamics. From that perspective, and he was the team leader, you know, the player advocate, and I hate this game.
Yeah, the more that we're doing this, the more that you're actually like bringing in like
I'm drinking
like, emotion behind it.
Favorite flavored White Claw. That's how upset I am right now.
You're like making us. You're like, I feel like a bad person now. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't make me feel.
I'm sorry, everybody.
That's why I get upset is because like I know the players outside of the game in certain ways. You know, it's like I know it's just a game. Like it's that one scene from Wedding Crashers where he's like we lost a lot of good men out there. And she's like playing for the Yankees. That's what it is. Like trades and stuff. Like they break your heart, man. You know.
Do you have one? If you don't want to do it at this point,
I'm not playing this game. You know why? Because I'm gonna do the asshole thing and be like, I hope they all stay.
You're like the preschool kid who like just got cheated out of a game and you're just upset and you just want to go sit.
Yeah,
and
like
not participate.
No. Yeah.
It's like I'm taking my ball and I'm going home.
All right. Well, okay. So you're not going to do one? Is that
you're just not going to participate in this game?
Well, thank you for participating in our game that we call this podcast. We really appreciate it. Again, thanks for being our first like big ticket host, I guess.
Our first verified guest. That's a good way to put it.
So instead of on the earlier thing,
so we
because I guess Colin, Thoreau, and Dalton are not verified on Twitter, but I am.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I mean, they are minor league players.
I mean, they have more major league experience than I do. So, well, playing, of course.
So we
but you're also
go ahead.
Followed by, Elmo himself, Jeff Passan, though, right?
That's true.
I'm not followed by Jeff Passan.
Jeff, God damn it!
Thanks for that.
So we have this game.
I'm just making the night worse.
We have this thing that we do for this podcast where anytime a former A's player comes on, Julio calls him a former Oakland great. So you're going to be our current Oakland great, and you'll be the first one in the Hall of Fame.
Thanks, guys.
So that's going to do it. Thank you for joining, Jessica, and hopefully we can stay in touch, and we'll see how Dalton feels about my take coming up.
Yeah, we'll see. And make sure you guys are following me on Twitter at KleinschmidtJD. Follow Bach Talk and Corked Up. Corked Up's going to have amazing things happening for spring training, and I'm looking forward to that. And Instagram, Jessica Kleinschmidt.
Nice. All right, that was pretty awesome, Julio. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us and listening and following our podcast. Please do not forget, if this is the first time listening, to subscribe. We talk baseball and specifically A's baseball, but A's baseball in general. In the off season, every couple weeks, during the season, every week. Thank you again, Jessica, for joining us. Don't forget to check out all of her stuff, her written stuff on NBCSportsBayArea.com, her podcast, Bach Talk, and Corked Up with Rachel Luba. And we got another podcast coming in a couple weeks after the winter meetings, right, Julio?
That's right. Winter meetings will be coming up starting next Monday, the first time in MLB history that winter meetings will be virtual. We're going to be talking about the moves that were made or were not made in the next episode in a couple weeks. And you know what, Chris? I love the winter meetings. It's always just Christmas comes a little bit early every winter meetings, whether it's a good Christmas gift or not.
Hopefully our gift will be Marcus Semien to back to the A's.
Yes, please.
Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Let's go Oakland.
The Town Tailgate is an independently produced podcast. It is written and executive produced by this guy, Chris Madrigal, and my partner in crime, Julio Reynoso. It is sound mixed and edited by yours truly. Social media management and marketing is run by, once again, my partner, Julio Reynoso. And a special thanks and shout out to my brother, Larry Madrigal, for composing and producing our theme song, as well as graphic designing our album cover and artwork. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Please tune in next week. Please subscribe. And last but not least, as we always say, let's go Oakland.